Friends, I'm Dr. Rahul Kaushik. Today we are going to discuss one of the important topic of your syllabus, pharmacognosy and phytochemistry part 2. And this topic comes under unit 4. So the topic is industrial production, estimation and utilization of phytoconstituents. And first phytoconstituents in our category is Forskolin. As you see in the diagram or the structure that this Forskolin, it's a labdane terpenoid isolated from the roots of Coleus forskolli, and it belongs to the family of mint or tulsi. So it is Labiatae or Lamiaceae family. It's a natural bicyclic diterpene, as you can see from the structure itself, and they are named labdane because the very first compounds, labdane terpenes, they were isolated from the labdanum, a resin derived from the gum rock rose Cistus maculatus. So, as far as its geographical location is concerned, it was said to belong Indian subcontinent. Apart from the India, it is also found in Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Burma, Sri Lanka, and other nearby countries. If we talk about the solubility of Forskolin, since it's a diterpene, so it is rarely soluble in water, but it is readily soluble in ethanol, chloroform, and dimethyl sulfoxides. If we talk about the uses, so it is widely used as an antioxidant. It is also used in the treatment of diseases like congestive heart failure, in glaucoma, in asthma, and cancer also. And majority of its function, they are in the management of heart related disorders. Since we are going to study the extraction and isolation procedures for Forskolin, so we should know what is the raw material from which this Forskolin is isolated. So if you see in the picture, this is the plant, and you can easily identify it through the crenulated margins, which are also found in the Labiatae family, like mint and tulsi. Next picture is the uprooted roots of, or the uprooted plant of this Coleus forskolli. And next you can see the dried forskolli. It is dried under direct sunlight, and you can also see the farmers, they are picking up the debris from the drug. Because here we are concerned about the phytoconstituents, so we must know how this Forskolin is going to act in your body. So if you see in the picture, Forskolin, when it enters your body, it activates the enzyme adenylate cyclase, which is available on the cellular membrane, and inside the cell it causes the conversion of adenosine triphosphate into cyclic adenosine monophosphates, ATP into CAMP. And this conversion is extremely beneficial for various diseases like cancer, obesity, heart failure, asthma, glaucoma, and other diseases. How this Forskolin give benefit to your body? It causes bronchodilation on the respiratory muscles. It prevents the platelet aggregation. It has positive inotropic action on the heart muscles. It has anti-glaucoma effect. it reduces blood pressure and also reduces inflammation. So in these ways it exerts beneficial effects on your body. And nowadays forskolin being a phytoconstituent is being exploited on large scale for various lifestyle disorders like for the management of weight. It is being dispensed or it is being marketed in the form of nutraceutical much more than as a drug. If we talk about the production of forskolin, so we have seen in the previous picture that it is obtained from the roots. These tuberous roots, these are washed, dried and pulverized into small granules. After pulverization into small granules, this powder is extracted in crude form using methanol as a solvent in Soxhlet apparatus. Since it is not soluble in water, so we have to use the hydrocarbon solvents for the extraction purpose. Methanolic extracts, they are combined and concentrated to a syrupy liquid, to which then chloroform is added to the concentrate in a separating funnel. To this separating funnel, we add the mixture in which we have the extracts, we have the chloroform, and then we add equal volume of water into the separating funnel, and after shaking it vigorously for several times, we let it stand. And after standing for a period of time, due to the differences in their densities and their partition coefficients, the liquids get separated in the separating funnel, and then we can isolate the after settling the layers, we isolate the chloroform layer, because chloroform is having high density than water, and it was a water chloroform mixture. So chloroform settles down in the separating funnel and we can collect it from the separating funnel. Repeat the water treatment 2 to 3 times and collect the chloroform layers. So this washing, you can say, this washing is repeated 2 to 3 times, and finally you have to collect the chloroform fractions after each washing with water. Then the chloroform fractions, they were mixed and they were concentrated. After concentration, the crude forskolin, it can be precipitated using cold N-hexane. A reddish brown precipitate of forskolin is precipitated after this cooling down the mixture that we have obtained. Here one thing is important to note, that right now through this industrial procedure we have obtained only crude forskolin. For pure forskolin, we have to put this crude forskolin to column chromatography, from which you can obtain the purified forskolin. There are another methods also for the isolation of forskolin, and here we have covered 2 methods. First we have already discussed, and next method is from the plant tissue culture. Here what we do, we take the explants. Like here we have used the apical leaf buds collected from the greenhouses, and they are grown and washed with 1% T-Pol, which is a detergent, for 15 minutes. We used this T-Pol to remove the dust particles or the entangled debris on the leaves, because we are going to use these leaves as explant. So these leaves, after washing with water, these leaves are disinfected using mercury chloride solution with 2 drops of 2 in 20 for around 8 minutes, and after washing with the disinfecting with these chemicals, we have to wash our explant with the sterile water for 2 to 3 times. After washing the explant, we cut the explant into small particles or small pieces, which are then inoculated on the nutrient media. Here we have used Morashaji and Skoob media, which is further supplemented with certain phytochemical or certain phytohormones like 0.5 mg per liter of kynetin and 30 gram per liter of sucrose. These are additional phytonutrients which we have added apart from the Morashaji and Skoob media. The callus culture we obtained is incubated at 25 degrees Celsius under a photo period of 16 hours of light and 8 hours of darkness, and subcultured at intervals of 4 to 5 weeks. After 6 subcultures, the light green colored callus, the callus we obtained is light green color because we have used the leaves as an explant. These green colored callus, they were subcultured further into fresh Morashaji and Skoob media without adding those 2 phytoconstants which we have added earlier, like sucrose we do not add at this time and kynetin we do not add this time. So we inoculate our fresh nutrient media with these subcultures, and after so many subcultures we obtain the callus or the high growth of callus, from which we get our forskolin. The forskolin content was estimated every 5 days after the subculturing into the sodium chloride containing media. The freeze dried culture. Suppose we know that we have got the exact amount of forskolin, so we have to calculate the amount of forskolin in that particular callus culture. So we took the freeze dried callus like 0.2 grams dry weight, and it was extracted with about 10 ml of methanol for 24 hours, and then it is filtered. The remaining callus was extracted with 95% ethanol for 12 hours. Then we combined both the methanolic extracts and the ethanolic extracts and evaporated into vacuum. The resultant residue after evaporation of the methanol and ethanol solvents, the resulting residue that we obtained is dissolved in 2 ml of chloroform, and the solubles are collected by centrifuging at 12,000 rpms for 10 minutes. After the centrifugation, the supernatant that we obtained is evaporated in vacuum, and the residue was dissolved in 1 ml of methanol and an aliquot of 25 microliter. From this 1 ml final solution is injected into the HPLC, high performance high pressure liquid chromatography. In the HPLC analysis, there are certain conditions that we have to maintain for carrying out the analysis of forskolin or identification of forskolin. So what these conditions are: the HPLC was performed on C18 reverse phase column. So the column which we are using is having the stationary phase, which is the octadicyl siloxane. C18 column we use. Reverse phase chromatography we have used, and the mobile phase we are using, it is acetonitrile and water in a combination of 65:35. And this mobile phase was adjusted to a pH of around 2.5 with the help of orthophosphoric acid under isocratic conditions, and the flow rate for the analysis, HPLC analysis, was maintained at 1 ml per minute. The forskolin, for which we have done that much exercises, it was detected by measuring the UV absorption maximum in the UV UV detector which is provided in the HPLC machine at 202 nanometers, because the force cooling, it shows maximum absorbance at 202 nanometer or 203 nanometers, and the retention time is matched with the standard. And in this way we can calculate the concentration of or the quantity of force cooling or purified force cooling in our sample. There are some instruments that I have mentioned in this in the procedures for isolation of force cooling. So here is the first instrument which we have used. It is Soxhlet assembly or Soxhlet apparatus. It is composed of three main parts: condenser, extractor, and the round bottom flask, which is supplied with the heat. So what happened? We have to pack our drug in the extractor in the form of thimble. Thimble is a filter paper in which we have packed our drug, and we can use the thread or we can use the staplers to seal the both the ends of the filter paper in which we have used, or we can simply use the pouches made up of filter paper. We put the drug in the extractor, and we put the solvent in which we have to carry out the extraction in the round bottom flask, and we have to adjust the temperature of the boiling point of solvent. What happened? The solvent vapors, due to the heat, they get evaporated. The vapors, the liquid is converted to vapor, and vapor through this tube, it enters the extractor. After entering the extractor, the vapors tries to escape, and they try to escape from the above portion. And as soon as they reaches the above portion, which is supplied with condenser, there is a mechanism of inlet of cold water and outlet of hot water. So due to that cold water, the vapors of the solvent, they get condensed and they fall on the drug in the form of droplets, and soon this cycles continues, and as soon as the level of solvent reaches this position, there is a tube, a special tube which is called as siphon tube, and through this siphon tube the solvent which is collected in the extractor, it comes again out into the round bottom flask which is placed at the bottom. So this is the very first instrument and the basic instrument we use in the production of force cooling, or any other phytochemicals. Next instruments or assembly or glassware, or you can say apparatus, I have mentioned is the separating funnel. Separating funnel is an assembly. Here what we do, we place the two immiscible liquids in the separating funnel. After settling down, or you can mix or shake the mixtures for partitioning of the phytoconstituent in the respective solvents or liquids, and after settling down, they separates into two layers. The denser layer, or the liquid which is having high density, it settles down in the lower portion, whereas the liquid with the light density or low density, it settles down above the high density liquid. In this way we can separate the liquids on the basis of their densities. This is the rotary vacuum evaporator. It is also one of the important and major tool in phytochemical analysis or phytochemical extraction. Since the phytoconstituents, they are thermolabile, means they can be degraded by application of heat, or they can be degraded in the presence of high amount of heat. So this instrument is specially designed. What happened? The mixture which is containing the solvent and the phytoconstituents are placed in this round bottom flask, which is connected with an assembly. This assembly is also provided with a mechanism for you can say pressure, mechanism for pressure, as well as the spiral condenser tube. So what happened when we apply the pressure, when we apply the low pressure, when we apply the vacuum, you can say the negative pressure or the vacuum inside this tube, the liquid which is here, it starts evaporating at a very low temperature. So our motto is to isolate the solvent from the phytoconstituent. So at low temperature, without degrading the phytochemical, the solvent gets evaporated, and the solvent, as soon as it gets evaporated, it reaches the condenser where we have the vacuum also, and after the condensing, the solvent is collected inside this round bottom flask. So in this way we can efficiently isolate the solvent from the isolated drug product, and we can also recyclize or reuse this purified solvent after proper checkup. So this is another very important tool in the phytochemistry. If we look at the physical properties of this forskolin, we have seen in earlier picture that forskolin is like these are the roots. This is the chorus root powder of Coles forskolin. Then this is the crude forskolin, which we obtained from the first method which we have discussed earlier. And after column chromatography, after purification from through column chromatography, we obtained this white colored powder. So if we talk about the melting point of forskolin, the melting point of forskolin is around 228 to 232 degrees Celsius. The boiling point is 520 degrees Celsius, and we have seen earlier also that it is insoluble in water, but it's quietly soluble in DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. So if we want to check the stability as well as the solubility, you can preserve a sample of 5 mg per ml of forskolin in DMSO for a period of more than 6 months. It has got a density of 1.23. It is heavier than water. If you want to store it after procuring from somewhere, if you want to store it, then the storage condition, you must know, it is minus 20 degrees Celsius. It is obtained in the form of white powder. Water solubility, if we talk, it is insoluble in water, and we have seen the lambda max at which it absorbs maximum radiation, it is 305 nanometer. Then separation and identification. We have isolated the compound, and now if we want to identify the compound, whether our sample contains the forskolin or not, so we have to